Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is Strength Agenda Radio, episode 15. My name is Tom Soroka, the beautiful gentleman next to me that sent me the link so that I can log in here and join everybody and share my thoughts and wisdom is John Ziegler. John, good morning. How you doing, bud?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm drinking and I'm gonna get crucified for this. Decaf.
No, it's too. I just woke up a little bit ago. We're not gonna do that. No. I mean, I
Listeners might like people that all like five of our viewers
all five
might
of the viewers
crucify.
might, I mean, listen, anybody that's going to crucify decaf has not been to a doctor lately. That's how I just,
Yeah.
or they haven't had heart palpitations at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what I'm trying to avoid is
like, because I'm one of those psychopaths where I actually enjoy the taste of black coffee.
I know you
Um,
do.
and so, like, if I continue to drink coffee past like noon, I switch to decaf. But like, that doesn't mean that a whole pot doesn't get consumed of full calf before that. So it's just, yeah, I have a problem, John.
Yeah.
I
I
like
can't do it anymore. I used to be like coffee all day long kind of guy, get me through work, but as I've aged a little bit, um, I find
physically, not mentally.
yeah, physically, no, mentally, no, we're good. We're still 12.
Yeah,
Thank
right.
God. All right. Anyway,
Announcements. What do we got going on, John?
we have so much going on. Super exciting for the Highland Games folks. Like they have moved over to the new app. Um, not without hiccups, but
I just laugh because this is the crew and Highland Games folks. I absolutely love you guys for this, but it's also beyond mind-numbingly aggravating. They are the ones that will go days without telling you something is wrong. Like you have to pull problems out of them, and I was kind of worried about this with the app because I'm like, because I do have a few. Greg and Dan are two of the ones that will be like, hey, this isn't working. This isn't going on. Like, I'm not seeing this. Like, did you put this in the wrong spot? Am I in the right program? Like, they will ask the questions.
right, yeah.
Steve sometimes will too, but Steve's, he's our age and he's got a bunch of kids and stuff like that. So he's, all over the place. But the rest of the crew, I literally just got a text from somebody for the first time in like 2 weeks. But like, hey, I don't think the programs are showing up. Yes, yes, we have been discussing this in the group chat. Like
Yep.
the days are mixed up because or he was like, hey, Monday's on there, but Tuesday's not. And I'm like, yes. I was like, have you not been checking your messages? And he's like, no. And I'm like, all right,
Of
thank you.
course not.
Yeah. So I love our Highland Games crew, but they're awesome in the sense that like they will not point out when things are going wrong. They will just sit there and be like, oh, there's a plan in place here. Like this is part of the plan. Like they will just let it go. And I'm like,
Let it ride.
yeah. And I'm like, guys, like I need you to tell us if things are not.
Please let us know
All that,
something's not working.
yeah. All that being
That's
said, we had a snafu with like the days getting like some of the days were showing up, some were not. And the Highland Games athletes have been awesome. They've started their programming for the off season. They love it. They like the app. It's easy to use and all that. The assessment, I did get feedback on the assessment. They like that idea better than how it was going because they're like, at least I put like one of the guys, Greg, who's super on top of everything. He's an engineer, so that should make sense.
that makes sense. Yeah.
But he's like, he goes, this is great. I just put a reminder in my phone that the assessment's going to be up on Sunday and put my stuff in there. So, but yeah,
Uh
the app is going. The app is going, baby.
yeah, it's going. So the we've got a couple new things that are going to launch on the app. One's going to launch this month, and that's going to be the affiliate programming.
Ah,
It is all set, ready to rock and roll. We're just gonna make sure everything's like laid out right one last time, go through and make sure all the coaches' notes. So with the affiliate programming, um, it has coaches' notes. I think this is one of the most important things, and since we've been doing this for a couple of affiliates prior to launching it,
yeah,
through Strength Agenda, it was something we had time to really refine, and that is making sure there are coaches notes that talk to why that workout is created the way that it is, like
yeah,
you know the how to coach it, what the time looks like, how to manage your whiteboard time, everything that kind of lays out all the way into cool down. So warm up through cool down, like there's a general warm up, there's a day specific warm up, there's scaling, options. The stimulus is laid out for how it should feel. So, and we really made sure to do that so that when coaches at an affiliate start using the programming, they're always going to kind of have questions. I think that's just a general thing, but they can literally go in and say, "Oh, I got it." And we're adding in videos. We're finishing up adding in the movement videos for some of the things that are not as common. Like there's some uncommon functional like bodybuilding movements that are in some of the days that you wouldn't normally see inside of a regular like CrossFit affiliate or
Right, right,
things
right.
along those lines. So that's finally launching. We have Jess with the nutrition program going. We have a add-on for app subscribers that will be a little bit of an upcharge, but it will give you access to a kind of
Is it the
AI
macro calculator?
AI style like
Yes.
nutrition coach with the macro calculator in it that's going to give you you're going to go in every week, plug in your numbers, plug in your goals, and it's going to spit out rest day meals. It's going to spit out workout and training day meals, what your macros should look like throughout the day, how many meals you should eat. And you're going to be able to take that into your week and really manage kind of what you're doing. And it's pretty extensive and it changes with you based on your goals. It changes with you based on when you're working out, like what time of day, what it is, what your weight comes in at. So we've been working on that and excited to get that launched for December. And
Yes. For
then
those who don't know with that calculator, I put out a post 2 months ago now. I might reshare it just for shits and giggles. But I put out a post mapping out like macros for like your day based on when you train, based on your protein, carbs, fats. That was kind of the brainchild for this calculator. John and I had kind of just started about like how like that was one thing that we felt like people were missing out on was their nutrient timing. Talking to Jess about like how she goes about things and seeing what she's been doing with our athletes. Like this was something we've been really like, yeah, we got to get this going kind of a deal just as a nice like because everything is getting more expensive, things are not getting cheaper, and
yeah,
if we can provide a tool for you guys, that is low cost but still effective in terms of getting you towards your goals when it comes to nutrition and your weight management and all that stuff, especially with the new year coming around, the holidays, things like that. Like we've got a lot of things coming out where like nutrition kind of falls to the wayside. I myself it has been a week of cake over here. I had crumble cookies sent to me.
happy late birthday, Tom.
I had like see like beautiful thing about being an adult is you don't have to wait for like your birthday to just go buy cake. You can just go do it whenever you want. And
Anytime you want.
I totally wasn't remembering that my birthday was this week, so I went and bought myself a cake earlier in the week because it was on sale at the store, and I said, "Why the fuck not? That looks good." And then I got more cake for my birthday, and then somebody sent me crumble, and I'm like, "Shit." So I need that calculator right now because I have literally just been living off of fast breaks and birthday cake for the last like 2 days, and that is that
Nice.
is that has been the staple of my diet. But super
That's healthy.
excited about the calculator.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great addition to the app and stuff like that. Just one more tool that we're adding on there that's going to allow you guys to fine tune your goals and help you guys reach what you're trying to accomplish in terms of training with the app and such.
Yeah. And then the thing I think that it may be one of the thing, we're really proud of kind of everything that we're working on.
Yeah,
Nothing's like perfect and we'd love
except
the
for the
feedback.
strongman program.
Yeah.
Fuck those guys.
But I do want to say like we are excited to launch the growth agenda,
Yeah,
which is the business mentorship coaching program that we have been working on for like a year now. Uh,
yeah.
that is, we've talked about it before, we've mentioned it before, but the growth agenda is finally launching. Um, it's going to include a business owner mentorship program. We will be doing and offering some other things as well, like even website design. So website design, one of the things I'm really excited to be able to offer is we've got an entire uh
John will be
so
offering website design. You do not want me to design your website.
yeah. I'll offer website design. But one of the things that we do have that I think is going to really be incredibly impactful and beneficial for people is kind of this bundle that we created of books and guides to
Yes.
help gym owners, small business owners. Like, you don't have to be a gym owner to benefit from this. As a matter of
No.
fact, this all this information is built not only out of like Tom and I and our experience as affiliate owners, but also out of, experience as executive in other industries as well. Everything from,
Just
CEO,
just a variety of like from sales to like,
yeah, sales, like,
I feel like that you are not going to find a duo that has done all the things in the fitness space. Like from the education standpoint to the sales to the, management, like even though like the strength agenda as a whole is completely remote, John is still working in a gym, but I'm still managing people. We've got John. We've got Rachel, we've got Jess, we've got Lacey, like we've got that. There's still that management that you have to have a handle on, whether you're doing remote
yeah,
stuff or not. Just because you get rid of the physical space doesn't mean that that kind of stuff has to go to the wayside.
yeah.
Your accounting, it's all the different stuff that like goes into running a business in terms of making sure that you stay in good graces with the IRS and you're able to continue to, live the
Very
life
much so. Yeah,
and
that's a big one.
like it's just
I
you covered everything in it. Like I've been going through the books when they've been getting the manuals when they've been getting finished and sent over. Like it's just there is not a stone left unturned. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I want to, I think this is kind of, it's important to say where this comes from, because it comes from a very like a place of, I think both of us have seen people that we care about who are incredibly passionate about what they do, really, really want to have an impact, but struggle
Yes.
every single day and every single month and every single year with, just getting buried by the business side of things,
Yep.
and thinking that, well, if I just put more into it,
Yeah.
right? And I've also heard, and I'm gonna say this, and this is kind of a thing for me, but I'm gonna say this. I have seen other gym mentorship and coaching programs say completely asinine things like, you don't need to do any marketing, you just use your members. All you got to do is I've heard things like, just keep your gym clean and have good coaching and members will come. Guys, that's the field of dreams methodology for running a business, and that does not work. Right. And every now and then, maybe you might find a gym or a business that, like, oh my God, I did that. I cleaned my bathrooms and I upped my coaches. And all of a sudden I have 400 members. Well, okay. But this is one of the best ways I've heard a mentor of mine put this when it came to advertising, and why I think so many mentorship programs do an injustice by telling people you don't need to devote money and time to advertising. If advertising wasn't important, Apple wouldn't do it, Nike wouldn't do it, all
Yeah.
the other big names in business
You're
wouldn't
not Rolls, you're
do it.
not Rolls Royce or Jaguar.
Yeah, right. You're not that. So quit expecting that to be the thing that, gets you through. And so this bundle really does lay out the entire foundation. And so we're very excited to bring this. And you're going to be able to buy the bundle and just walk yourself through it if you want. And then there'll be the options to have us come in and do a deep dive into your business and understand what your demographic looks like,
Yeah.
because every area is different. Understand what your demographic looks like, what your goals are, how long you've been in business, what do your financials look like, what do your operations look like, and develop a legitimate plan to take you from where you are at that point in time to where you want to be, and then
100%.
help you execute on that. So it's a passion project because, again, Tom and I see all these people who struggle.
John
Um,
has passion.
I have passion. But we see all these people that struggle, and we know people that we're very close to, like, um, some of the athletes even on the
Yeah.
team that have gyms that are trying to do something, and we
Right.
want to see all those people succeed. So, uh,
Yeah. The big thing that just comes to this is what we just thought about, like what were the stuff that we wish we had,
yeah,
like at our disposal, without breaking the bank. Like
yeah,
really, like that's at the end of the day. It's just like because we both have gone through mentorship programs, we've gone through these like gym builder type programs, and most of them out there, I'll just say it, are a crock of shit. They charge you a ridiculous amount of money. They don't teach you how to physically do anything. They do it for you, and they do it in a not so nice way. Like it's pretty sleazy, pretty dirtbag how they go about some of these tactics and things like that. And it just doesn't teach you anything. And we want to actually teach you how to do this for yourself. So I'm super excited for that to be out there and to, actually help people get their goals accomplished.
Yeah, and then so not only do we have that, the other thing that the growth agenda will offer is it's going to offer something called the conversion code, which is our own sales training that will teach you guys that helps sales feel not sleazy, right? A lot of people that I've talked to in gyms are like, I get uncomfortable. I don't like selling, and I'm like, well, then you're not doing it right. Because if you're doing it right, it's not selling, it's being of service, and that's a whole different ballgame.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so anyway, okay, super excited. So keep an eye out for that, the growth agenda. You'll be able to do one-on-one mentoring with either Tom or I, or you can do, mentoring with both of us at the same time. But yeah, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're not already doing so, subscribe to the newsletter because that's where you'll see updates and stuff like that on these things.
Yes.
But you're still going to hear us talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, we're
So,
gonna talk about
all right, main topic today. John, how much do you squat?
it. I don't want to talk about it right
All right, that's fair. I don't know.
now.
You were running slow log, and you said you're going to pick it back up. So I don't know how that was going. Uh,
I'm actually so I'm
let
not
me put it this way: you're squatting more than me.
I'm not though, like
I
right
I
now.
can't squat. Remember,
I know you can't squat. You can't squat right now.
I'm really
No,
good.
I'm actually I'm doing the basic strength program right now
Oh, that's right. You did tell me you switched up back
because
over.
of the shoulder.
Yeah.
So I can't it's hard for me to hold a heavy bar on my back right now.
Yes, yes.
So any squatting I do is belt squatting.
Yeah. So, main reason I was just curious, I was asking is because this weekend in the beautiful city of Chicago, I was there running a level 2 course. But more importantly, apparently, was the big High Rocks event.
Okay.
The Navy Pier. What were you telling me before we started recording? 1,500 people, something along.
No, 15,000.
Or 15, yeah, 15,000. I knew that. Sorry, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. 15,000 people were signed up
Yeah,
for it.
15,000.
That is a big old chunk of change for people doing that event. But I feel like everybody that we knew in the fitness space, I had a couple lifters that were there because they were like, "Hey, I got like," one of them was like, "I got tricked or guilted into it." I was like, "No, you didn't. You don't get guilted into
Just
something
you were
like."
curious. So you went.
I'm curious, and that's fine. So they did that and everything. So we had High Rocks running this weekend. And I bring that up because they're like, what does High Rocks have to do with strength and conditioning podcast? Because one of our most favorite internet personalities, Andrew Hiller, lately has been just taking shot after shot after shot after shot on people doing wall balls, in particular with squatting and stuff like that. And so, um, do I agree with most of his posts? Meh, I think it's indifferent. I understand why he's upset. Because some of the videos he posts are absolutely egregious in terms of like what they allow and stuff
Yeah,
like.
they're terrible.
Which reminds me, do they like more about High Rocks than I do? Do they have like a judging course?
No, they don't have a judging course. As a matter of fact, and this was confirmed
Yeah,
by one of the members at the gym that I coach at who was actually pretty heated
yeah,
about the wall ball experience.
yeah,
So
yeah.
they don't have a judges course. All their judges are volunteers or they bring in people from local homeless shelters and pay them to like and feed them, which is a beautiful thing. Like please
It
know that
is.
like from a an idea standpoint, like what a great like thing to be able to do, but put them in places like Coat Check or
Yes.
something else.
I was just gonna
Don't
say that. I
have
was like,
them.
that is not where my head was going when I was like, oh, they employ homeless people. I'm like, well, judging,
Yeah,
that's
so
it.
they use them as judges. This was confirmed that they 100% utilize like just volunteers and homeless people as judges. There is no judges course for High Rocks.
That's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate because it's just I feel like it's yeah, I mean you can say what you want. Like I also feel like a lot of the CrossFit community bashing it is just signs that they are threatened. Because I feel like the High Rocks is really starting to build up. It's getting going, all that stuff. And yeah, I was just curious. But what it just led me to like the big thing was I've had a lot of good conversations based off of some of Hiller's posts. He's been going on this whole thing, this squat depth range kick and stuff like that. Um, And I understand why. I understand the problem and stuff like that. So I just kind of want to take a second, or not second, but the rest of this episode, talk about squatting in terms of like our value, kind of go over a little bit of the different standards per the sports, and just talk about the value that we see in our training, the things that we've noticed in terms of like when to incorporate various variations of squats and things along those lines. And so, just big thing that I just kind of wanted to talk about to start it off is what is considered a squat. And I think we can both agree that anything is parallel or below is what is considered a squat. Now, how do you measure parallel? I know CrossFit has their standard. Mine's
Right.
not too much different from their standard, but it's just one of those situations where, yeah, I feel like CrossFit emphasizes and focuses on it, and I don't mean like the HQ or whatever, but
Right.
personalities within the space. Like they take liberties with it, and they just really, and I just would like. I my whole thing is like I want to whenever I see somebody like Hiller or another person like bashing folks for squatting, I'm like I want to film every one of your squats that you have ever done. And if there is not if not every one of them is too perfect technical, check boxes, across the board, like I don't want to hear you talk about it anymore. Because like I know I do not have a perfect squat. I have definitely shorted depth. I have not stood all the way up a couple times here and there. Um, but I also don't make a living off of social media and bashing people in terms of their depth and stuff like that. So I think personally, it's just content filler and it's just clickbait and rage bait, whatever you want to, bait word you want to add in there. But John, like, so when you're working with people, like, what is your definition of depth on a squat?
Yeah. So I think, my definition for depth on a squat has always been like, let's just get you below parallel,
Yeah. So how do you
right?
how do you determine parallel with somebody, or how would you personally do it?
Yeah. So I'm looking at knee to hip crease,
Yeah, pretty much.
right? I think that's pretty much the standard for anybody that's been coaching for a
Yeah.
while is you're looking at knee to hip crease. And I think to your point, one of the things that people miss and when they're kind of running somebody up and they're like, oh, that person's not squatting to depth. They're not,
Yeah.
whatever. It's like, are you looking knee to quad?
Yes.
Because I feel like sometimes they're looking from the knee across the quad and they're like, oh, they're not hitting depth. But if you took the quad out, and I think Danny Spiegel's one of these, like Hiller's hammered Danny Spiegel a ton.
Yeah.
And granted, I have seen some shallow squats from
Oh
Danny
yeah.
Spiegel, right? But I'm not perfect either. I've definitely had shallow squats, like you talked about. Um, but her leg mass is so big
Yeah.
that I feel like you have to like almost dissect that leg,
Yeah.
remove that top half of the mass,
Yeah.
and then look at where her hip crease is. So you have to draw a different line. And I feel like sometimes when people get into bashing folks for not
Yeah.
hitting depth or not hitting parallel, it's because they're looking knee, quad, oh, instead of knee, oh, look at that. Like the hip crease is
Right.
right
Right.
there.
My big thing when you're talking about like somebody like Danny or whatever in competition is like get on the judging. Don't get on the athlete. Like because like for grid, for instance, like I feel like grid is probably the sport where the line gets flirted with the most in terms of like what is considered like a lift or a rep versus not. And like any grid athlete will tell that if anybody says otherwise, they're so full of shit, it's not even funny. But literally, it's like they're gonna push the line as long as the referee gives it to them.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's just like I do it. Like I will be the first to admit that. A lot of people do it and stuff like that. So when I see all that nonsense, I just like I said, when I see it like and like I know Hiller, not like super well, but like we've trained together before, we've competed together before. Like he's harmless as far as I'm concerned. I just like I feel like every time I open up my phone these days, it is a High Rocks video of somebody doing wall balls and him going off about squatting, and I'm just like, dude, like who hurt you? Like, it's like, did you apply for a gig with them that they don't let you do? Like, it just, and he's not the only one. There are a lot of people that will post about the squatting depth. Like,
Right.
I literally posted a grid video, and I had like 4 or 5 people that I'd never seen a day of my life comment and tag Andrew Hiller. with his
Of
little like
course.
with his little like bat emoji or
The
whatever.
bat
And
emoji.
I was waiting for it. I was like, go ahead, rip it apart. Like I do
But
not care.
it's so there's an upside and a downside, I think, to what Hiller does.
Yes,
Um, and the upside is I'm a big proponent of in competition, the standard is the standard, right? And so you have to hit the standard. If the standard is to parallel or below and you're obviously not there, right? Then
yes,
you're not meeting the standard. And you should be like looking at some of those high rocks things. It drives me insane because I'm a little OCD too. When
yeah,
you see somebody so far above parallel,
yes,
who essentially is doing like a push press wall ball and they're getting the rep counted.
yeah,
And, when if you're just doing shit for fun,
yeah.
right? And you're not really like you're getting a time for your personal self and all that jazz, then that's fine. Whatever, man.
Right.
Like do your thing. But don't claim to be like top 100 in the world at a sport, right? Or claim to from a sport standpoint to have like the fittest people around right now
Yes,
because I think fitness, and maybe this is part of it, is that like the definition of fitness, right?
yeah,
I believe should also include the ability to move through a full range of motion,
100%.
right? It shouldn't just be, oh, well, you can run and you can carry kettlebells and you can push a sled and you can do these kind of wall ball things, but really it's so cardio, it's so cardio based, like that's
Yes,
what fitness is. Well, no, because you're still unhealthy. If you can't squat all the
yes,
way down, you are not technically fit in
agreed.
my mindset.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. And that was kind of where I wanted this to go, essentially, is in terms of like just universal standards and how different variations of squats and things along those lines. Because when we're talking about that standard or whatever, and you're talking about like the judging and stuff like that, my buddy Josh Newell, shout out Josh, put out a video pretty much where he it was kind of like an upward angle. And he was like, would you call this squat like
Mm,
legit, like parallel or below or
yeah.
whatever. And then he goes, well, how about this one? And then he's got it like a straight on from the side or whatnot. And then I think it was like a third clip where he took a PVC pipe and just put it across, measuring like his hip crease to the top of knee. And he goes, what if I told you these are the exact same squat, just filmed from different angles, kind of a deal. And I think that's probably another thing that I have an issue with people going, the sport of powerlifting gets this a lot. Like now, obviously powerlifting has its own issues and
Right,
there's
sure.
different definitions of depth and stuff like that per thing. But I've seen a lot of people sit there and like harp on folks for like depth on a squat when they're looking at it from like an upward angle down. And it's just like you're not the side judge. Like powerlifting has three judges, two on the side, one in the center. Literally, the one
Yeah.
in the center is making sure that the hip crease is disappearing. The other two are making sure the hip crease is below the knee. Like it's on the judges. They're right there. Like you're watching a video from a goofy angle, like shut up. And that's kind of where I wanted to push this in terms of, you know, I wanted to talk about the big three categories in terms of squatting, in terms of like their standard. And then I wanted to talk about like exercise format in terms of selection, utilization, and stuff like that. Things that you've seen works, things that I've seen work, and stuff along those lines, different body mechanics. And so when we're talking about the big three in terms of categories, the three categories I put together were essentially powerlifting over here. The main reason I have powerlifting in their category is because the squat is a competitive lift. Like
Right.
it is a standard of their competition. You remove the squat, you are no longer powerlifting. So we have like powerlifting in this one category. We have Olympic weightlifting in the second category because while squatting is not a competitive lift, and I wish I could try to explain this so many goddamn times to my weightlifters that like squatting is an accessory movement, not a competitive movement. Um, it is one of those movements that needs to be done on repeat often because we use the squat to overload the bottom positions of the snatch and clean and jerk. So therefore, the priority in terms of like exercise selection in the sport of weightlifting is pretty high. It's not as high, in my opinion, as powerlifting,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's pretty high up there. And then the third category, what I just like to label functional. In terms of, and I put strongman, I put CrossFit, things like high rocks over there, where the squat is a part of the training because you and I all know, or like both know, leg training, like you have to train your legs. I'm sorry, but like if you want to be any sort of a competitive athlete, there outside of maybe LeBron James, there is no competitive athlete that I can think of that doesn't train legs. And it's just one of those situations where like you have to be including squats. It is just a very
Yeah.
good, functional, well, all-encompassing range of motion exercise for the lower body. But like for those sports, they might get tested in the squat, but it is not very often. Like strongman, I feel like is starting to kind of come back around to like the squatting. For a long time there, it was like world's strongest man would always do some sort of a squat event, right? And it was a really cool looking apparatus, whether it was like these gigantic dumbbells they were squatting or this little apparatus where like kegs were dropping into a basket or something like that. They got away from it in favor of the deadlift, and I feel like squatting is coming back around.
Yeah.
CrossFit, like they just did a max back squat event at
Yeah.
the games. They don't do it often. I know like one year they did an overhead squat event at the games and stuff like that. Like so they will test it and things like that from time to
Yeah.
time. Or they'll do it in some sort of a complex where it's like a front squat from the floor where you have to clean it and like do a bunch of front squats
Yep.
from there. So it's like that's where I have the functional. Those are my three categories. And just when we're talking about these three categories, it's understanding the squat from the demands of your sport, i.e., like I said, powerlifting. Now, when you get into powerlifting in terms of the squat, like there's all sorts of different, like you have three main variations. You got your box squat, you've got your low bar squat, and you got your high bar squat. Very rarely are you going to be seeing powerlifters doing high bar squats, and I'm just going to call it for like it is. They're not doing it because it's harder. It is a very quad dominant movement, very hip centric movement. And if you can use more muscles when you squat, why not? So, like doing a low bar squat allows you to use more back, glutes, hamstrings, more so than a high bar squat. And you can also shorten the range of motion because low bar, for those who don't know, high bar squat, your back is for the most part going to be in as vertical of an angle as possible, with the bar sitting higher up on the traps. Low bar squat, you're going to be a little bit more at closer to like a 45, 75-degree angle, and that bar is going to be sitting lower towards like the middle of the shoulder blades. And all that does is it just allows you to get to parallel without having to create excessive range of motion. You're essentially shortening the range of motion. The best way I've heard it explained is if the low bar back squat is not something that they train for strength, it's something that they train for competition. So, like, I do know athletes that very accomplished powerlifters that will train both styles. And then, low bar kind of leaked out, and you had weightlifters that were doing low bar. You've got like strongman powerlifters that train more of a low bar style for a competition setting. As long as it meets the standards of a squat, I have no issues with it. Just not a huge fan of it for like training purposes in terms of building
Right.
overall strength. And then the box squat is a whole other apparatus in and of itself that has more come to light because of geared powerlifting. And for those who don't know, geared powerlifting is essentially they wear like a pair of briefs that are made of like a canvasy material or an entire like suit, looks like a
Yeah.
powerlifting
Fit
singlet
suit is what I've seen. Yeah.
that are made out of like denim or canvas or whatever. And what it does is it essentially it creates like a spring. So when you hit the bottom of your squat, you pop right back up. Box squat, though, style is very different than a traditional squatting style. Is like you have a wider stance, your shins are vertical, so you're literally creating a 90-degree angle between the knee and stuff like that. But they're still working on that depth in terms of getting that hip to parallel. Usually you'll set your box up at parallel, squatting to, and then coming right back up. Then once you go over to the weightlifting side of things, your three main squats are your overhead squat, your front squat, and your back squat. And that kind of carries over to the functional as well. You got a couple other styles that you can throw in there in the functional, but like with those three styles, the goal is full range of motion. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I haven't addressed it with certain athletes because they're getting ready for the world championships, and we're going to talk about it later. Um, but like I'm noticing in the weightlifting space in particular, people starting to short their depth. They do what I
Mm.
call power squats, where they're hitting depth. but they're hitting depth, but they're not going as low as they possibly can for whatever reason it is. And like they'll be like they have knee sleeves on and then they'll wrap over their knee sleeves. And I always found that interesting because I've had athletes in the past do this, and then I'm sure you've seen it too, where they get caught in the bottom of a squat and they go way below parallel. Like they
Yes.
completely bottom out in a clean and they can't get out because they don't have that residual strength. Now, I'm not telling everybody I want you bottoming out your squats because that's
Right.
not a very safe, it's a very compromising position. But if you are not pushing your body to its full range of motion, like you're missing out on
Yeah.
strength, on function, on mobility that you could be using otherwise, and that could possibly lead to injury. So,
And I think it's you touched on something that I think is important, and it's that like there's a fine line between crashing out, right?
yes,
And getting that full range of motion. And when you're in that bottom in that full range of motion, one of the things that I like to do for myself when I'm squatting is at a lighter warm-up weight is just sit down there for a little bit and like wiggle
yeah,
around, kind of open up my hips, like use it as a stretching option. And you're not going to do that if you're using like what you're talking about, like a power squat,
no,
right? You have to be able to get down there and be comfortable and get knowing kind of where that ends for you
right,
before you completely disengage and end up like ass to grass, and now you got to like dump the bar off of your back.
yep,
um I think is important for anybody, especially people that compete, but like anybody in general, just understanding what that feels like and the confidence that it can build for you,
yes,
right? Also, it also teaches you how to stay tight because you're
yeah,
not gonna like, and I think one of the things that I really have over the years come to appreciate and love about the squat, right, is what an amazing tool it is to force people to stay tight through a
yes,
full range of motion,
yes,
right? And understand like what that actually feels like.
yeah, yeah,
Because there are a lot of people in like the functional space that
yes,
show up to a class and they hit the bottom and you can almost hear,
yes,
like,
yes,
what are you doing?
yeah.
Why? Like your entire body just went from this very nice tight
Crumble.
to thunk. And then all of a sudden the ass comes up really fast and you see the spine start to try and unfold itself. And, I don't know about you, but when I watch that, all I think of is there goes the L1 and there
Yeah,
goes the L2 and
yeah,
there's the
yeah.
L3. Like we're going to
Like,
end up messing
like,
up.
like I know that person is going to be complaining about either like some knee pain or some hip pain or some low back pain by when that workout is done. And that was kind of where I was getting to with the functional side of things,
Yeah.
whether it's strongman, whether it's CrossFit or just general gym going and stuff like that. And like you can do these things for powerlifting and weightlifting. It's
Sure.
just the amount of emphasis on a barbell squat needs to be higher because of the demands of the sport and all of that stuff.
Mm,
But like we are talking about other variations and things like that. Now, like another variation that like a lot of my strongman, my Highland Games guys do is a Zercher squat. It is starting to become one of my favorites. But I
mm,
joke around that a Zercher squat is essentially like it's essentially a goblet squat on steroids.
yeah.
And like the older I get, the more diverse populations I work with. I
Hmm.
am becoming more and more of a fan of goblet squats, like especially like kids. If you work with kids,
Mm.
start with goblet squats. And it doesn't need to be a kettlebell, it could be a dumbbell, it could be a medicine
Yeah.
ball, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just the style of holding a front load and teaching them full range of motion. Like I like my favorite warm up right now with people, and they hate it. And but like I even do it and stuff. And you actually had me do it in one of the affiliate workouts. Is a double kettlebell, like holding that front rack and tempo
Hmm.
sets of five or whatever. And I think it was like a 3-3-1 tempo, three count down,
Yep.
three count hold, stand up. It sucks, but like nothing open. Like I do that now anytime I squat because nothing back in the day. But because nothing opens up my squat. Like you were talking
Yeah.
that whole like sitting in the range of motion, letting things kind of meld and like, melt away and open up a little bit. Nothing worked my range of motion or opened me up in a squat better than that exercise that you had me do that one time.
Yeah.
So like when we're talking about like that functional space, use goblets. Goblet is another variation that I was gonna throw in there. Um, Especially for high rep, low risk of injury. I
Yes.
love like if you got like sets of 10 on a squat are brutal. Like there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But if you're doing it in a goblet style, I feel like it's a lot safer and it's a lot more of it's a better stimulus
Yeah.
because it is forcing you to maintain that upright position. You were talking about like that crashing out in the bottom. You cannot crash in a goblet. I have tried just testing it out. Like I feel like it's physically impossible to crash with a goblet and such like that. And when you were talking about, people who can't squat to depth, like you consider that a form of, functional fitness. So like, or a standard of fitness if you cannot
Yeah.
squat to depth. I have seen across multiple demographics and stuff like that, nothing gets them to a full range of motion better than a goblet squat. And it could just simply be a couple reps in terms of a tempo, or just straight up sets and just progressively overloading the weight. The other thing too is like there is nothing wrong with having them squat to an object. Now, one of my big bugaboos with this is like whether it's a box or a medicine ball, like under plates or whatever it is, there
Right. Yeah.
is a difference. And I need people to understand this. If you're gonna call yourself a strength coach, know the damn difference. There is a difference between a box squat and squatting to a box. Like they are not the same. And like like because people like I'll post I used to post videos of like the kids. Remember when I had all those kids that were
Yeah.
at one point and they'd be squatting to medicine balls that were like on plates. Like, oh, so those how come their shins aren't vertical with the box squat? It's like, well, it's because they're not doing a fucking box squat.
Right.
They're squatting, we're working on their range of motion and their control. And that's, I think, the big thing that people, if you are coaching with folks and stuff like that, if people are having issues with control to the bottom, because that's really what it is. Like,
Yes.
especially as we get older, like we don't want to get hurt. John doesn't want to get hurt. I don't want to get hurt. And so,
Right.
like, it's that fight or flight in their head. So if they have a tactile thing that they know they are sitting down to, it's going to create they're going to relax a little bit more. It's going to allow them to open their positions up a little bit more. They're going to hit that bottom of the squat, and then they're going to be able to change direction versus like crashing down into the bottom and potentially hurting themselves. So
Yes.
I have no issues with squatting to objects, teaching them, and then slowly lowering it down if it's teaching them proper range of motion and stuff like that. So like when we're talking about like faults and stuff like that, in regards to both like the functional space, the weightlifting space, because those are primarily where you operate and you rel. Like, what are some other things that you see in terms of like squatting faults, in terms of corrections that we can be making?
As you were talking about goblet squats, the thing that just keeps coming to my mind is people who, and you see this with a lot of people who are avid runners,
Yes.
is the tight Achilles, tight calves,
Yeah.
which result in like they can't get to depth. They don't mobilize because and I tell this to everybody that runs. I'm like, hey, what does every runner like to do as soon as they
Yeah.
get done with their run? They sit down on the couch, they kick up their heels,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
chill, which means you're not stretching the muscle when it's warm. And
Yeah.
it's going to tighten, and it just does that. As miles get put on those ankles and the constant flexion, like they're just going to get tighter and tighter and tighter until you can't squat to depth.
Nope.
So one of my favorite things is let's do heel elevated goblet squats. Let's stick a wedge underneath people's feet, right? If you're struggling to get to depth because you get to like,
Yeah.
you know, just above parallel and then all of a sudden you're like my calves and my ankles aren't going to let me go any deeper. Great. Let's shove a fucking wedge underneath your feet, right? And then let's do to your point the goblet squat again because
Yeah.
we're going to shift that weight a little bit, right?
Yep. Yep.
And all of a sudden now we've got the ability to get lower.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's important because the lower we get, the more of that stretch we're going to get. Not only
100.
we're building strength, right, but we're building like mobility in getting
Yes.
low. And you don't have to go heavy. This is there. So let's kind of this is one of my biggest things that I see in the gym, especially in the functional space and in the weightlifting space.
Yeah.
The difference between men and women squatting. And one of the biggest struggles there for me that I run into, women don't have enough confidence in themselves to load the bar to a point that it will challenge them and help them grow, and men show up with these egos that tell them they can squat what everybody else squats. And so they load up the bar and they go part way down and they come part way up and then rack the bar thinking they've done the weight.
Yes.
No, you have not. Like, check your ego at the fucking door.
It's I see this in Lifetime all the time. Like you'll see the dudes like what drives me nuts. I think what going off of that, I think what annoys me more so than just like the half rep or whatever is watching them warm up and watching them warm up the right way.
Yeah.
And like, and I had a conversation with a guy about this the other day because I said flat out, I was like, hey, can I just ask a question? And he's like, yeah. I was like, as the weight goes up, like, why does your depth or like your depth get shallower? And he's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, when we were warming up, I said, I was watching you warm up. I was like, you were hitting some really good squats, like full range of, and he was doing like, he had like socks on. So like no
Yep.
shoes, nothing like that. He was hitting full range of motion, was a little more low bar-esque, but like I don't judge that stuff. Like I'd rather see you go full range of motion. If that
Yeah.
means you can only do it low bar, then you're doing a fucking low bar. But he was warming up, hitting full range of motion. And then as he continued to add weight, his squat was getting higher and higher.
Yeah.
And I just
Bigger.
asked, I was like, is there, I said, are you like, because I genuinely try not to judge people in that sense. I know it's hard. My athletes that listen to this are probably laughing because they know how I feel about certain things. But like, I genuinely do try not to judge. But like, I always am just curious what like the method behind the madness. And he literally, you talk about the ego thing. He literally looked at me, he goes, yeah, he goes, I could just do more weight. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, well, like I said, you're going to put a lot of shearing force on your knees and your lower back and everything like that. I said, so like I said, if I were you, I said, I just friendly suggestion, I'd keep the weight down a little bit and just continue to focus on building strength in that range of motion because you have a good squat. Like there is no reason to abandon it just so you can lift more weight and potentially hurt yourself. And he didn't particularly care for it. And I was like, all right, fine. Like I say, like my rules, I say my piece once and then I move on with my life.
You
But like
know,
I think that's more frustrating than just the half rep bro for me
to
personally.
so I think for me it even goes a step farther and like you see these videos sometimes of these kids in a weight room
Yes,
like squatting and there's literally the fucking weight room coach
yes,
right
yes.
behind them and that kid has got way more on the bar than they have any business squatting. They don't get anywhere near depth.
No,
And the coach is like, good job. No, no,
no.
it's not because you're
Like
teaching them a bad habit.
you and I
Not
will share
only,
those college or like the high school weight room ones all the time. And as soon as I see the post, I'm like, I know what this is.
yeah. And so, I think that there's a responsibility, and this is, I'm gonna get on a high horse.
Do it.
I think there's a responsibility of the coach, no
Yeah.
matter where you're at, to push for range of motion
Yes.
and not celebrate and
No.
not give somebody credit
No.
for a you know I've seen it in CrossFit gyms a lot. It's like when they're doing one rep max testing,
Yes.
right? And they're testing one rep maxes and the back squat is always one of those like it gets dicier faster because if you can't deadlift something, you can't deadlift it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to get it like to your like just above your knees and then not be able to lift it the rest of the way and look at the coach and be like, I'm good, right? And the coach is going to be like, yeah, man, that's a good deadlift, right? Same with like a press. If you get it to here and it comes back down and you look over at the coach, like, I'm good, right? And the coach is like, yeah, man, you're good. But you see some of these guys that are trying to squat, 400 pounds, and you're looking at them as a coach and you see them like take it off the rack. You're like, dude, you can't squat 275
Yeah.
to depth. I don't know what you're thinking of doing, but okay. And they get like part way down and then they pop up and they rack it and they're like, yeah. And they're super pumped. And the coach is like, yeah, fuck it, man. Good job. No, not good job. I am that coach that probably people dislike seeing
Oh, 100%.
when it comes to things like that. Cause I'll be like, hey, here's what I need you to do next time.
Yeah. Right.
Either get it all the way to depth or take a bunch of that weight off
Yeah. Yeah.
and go to depth because you're not doing yourself any favors. To your
No.
point, you're putting sheer force on your knees, you're putting sheer force on your lower back that you are not prepared for
Yeah.
physically. And I think that's something that's important to tell people is like, hey, look, when we talk about like sheer force, what's the difference between somebody who can squat 400 pounds all the way to depth and back up and
Right.
somebody who gets it like, a quarter of the way down and comes back up? How come that sheer force isn't the same on both people? And that's because the person who can squat it to depth has
Yes.
built the tensile strength
Yes.
throughout their muscles and the core strength and the small like support muscle strength from squatting over and over and over and over and over again to depth and building to that ability to squat 400 pounds. It's not the same as
No.
somebody who can really only squat maybe 200 pounds but decides they're going to throw 400. Well, your body's not ready for that.
No. No, not at all. Not.
Like, not even close. You're literally putting yourself underneath a load that you are not prepared or capable of carrying
No.
and trying to move it through a range of motion. So the sheer force on those two individuals is not the same.
No, 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 no. And they think it is. Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that because like that's my big thing. Like, yeah, it's one of those situations like as coaches, we have a standard as well. And
Yeah.
that needs to be upheld. Like I talk about it all the time. Like I was a high school strength and conditioning coach. And I promise you right now, it was one of those things where I got a lot of props for it because like before me, like the coaches would have them squat to a box if they couldn't hit depth or anything along those lines. And when I took over the strength and conditioning program at the school, I was like, we're doing full range of motion. Like I am not allowing it otherwise kind of a situation. And it was one of those deals where like, I remember one time I had a administrator walk in or sorry, my department head walk in and it was on a squat day and he was just like, we have 40 kids in there all hitting depth, like good range of motion. He's like, damn, he goes, that's impressive to watch or whatever. A small little anecdote to this day, one of the coolest things ever with that job that I had was there was a girl. It was our squat testing day that we had, and or it was our testing day in general, and it was snowing. You know how Chicago is with the snow and everything like that. And she came in and she was like freaking out. I had a rule. I was like, no Crocs, no sandals. Like you need shoes for this class. And she comes up to the weight room before she went to go change. And she's like, Mr. Soroka, she's like, I'm really sorry. Like, I was running late. I rushed out the door. All I have are my boots. And she points at them. She's got a pair of like nice Ugg boots on. She's like, I'll go into the locker room and I'll clean them up and get all the stuff off the bottom of them. Like, but can I work out in these today? And I'm like, yeah, that's bad. Your toes are covered. Like, fine, sure. Yeah, like I'm fine with that. And this girl couldn't have weighed more than like 110 pounds, soaking wet. And watching this girl back squat, like, and bury a 225 back squat in a pair of like Ugg boots, like to this day is probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And she was just very nonchalant, like just full range of motion, went all the way down and all the way up, 225. Like it was maybe, you know, I would say maybe like an RPE 8 for her. Like wasn't
Yeah.
super hard for her, but like she crushed it. And it's just yeah. And then every time I think about that and I hear people talking about oh it's hard to blah 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 blah. It's like no, you just don't practice it enough. And I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, that's where as coaches we need to get that mindset into people. What no matter the movement, whether it's a snatch, whether it's a press, bench, deadlift, squatting. Obviously that's the topic of today's episode is like it's a skill set that you've got to master over time, and it's going to carry over to so many things. Like I don't think people realize there's a study done back in like the 80s. I remember reading about it in an exercise physiology class where they essentially hooked up like I don't know if electrodes is the right word, but they essentially hooked up those little like pads that like measure like electrical stimulation. And
Hmm.
they essentially, it was for a squat. Like they hooked them up to like the glutes, the lower back, quads, hamstrings, like the whole complex of that upper thigh. And they essentially had them do a variety of squats to a variety of depths or something like that. And it was crazy because like the full range of motion back squat had the most electrical stimulation muscles. Like it was, and
I
what
remember it.
pretty much we're saying was like the lower you go, the more full, like the better you hit full range of motion, the more overall muscle recruitment is occurring across the entire lower body. And at the end of the day, like if we're gonna talk vanity's sake, you want your legs to look good, just squat to death. Like Tom Platz, one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. Like that was the one thing everybody always talked about his quad definition and his glutes and his hamstrings. And like, what do? He goes, I squat and I squat low.
Yeah.
Like that video, I think of him doing, what was it, 500 pounds for 22 reps or something like that.
Just
It
insane.
just absolutely insane. Like, and you watch the videos of Arnold, and then when you were mentioning it, I remember, I think it was the pumping iron video, the very first one. There is a clip of Arnold in there doing squats, and he's got like a little like two by four under his heels, and he's because I think they're doing them off of a Smith machine, but like he's
Yep,
still
yep,
going full range of motion or whatever. And he had his heels on, and I'm sure he was doing it a little bit more for like the quad development
for sure. Yeah.
pressure and stuff like that. But like same concept though, like he was just making sure that he was getting full range of motion. He had that little two by four under his heels. So last thing here. What is for, and then we'll move on and get everybody out of here because they're probably tired of hearing us talking about lower body stuff. What is your favorite squat variation to program, and what is your favorite rep scheme to program for squatting?
Ooh, man.
Putting you
So
on,
I am, so I have two, right? I love overhead squats.
you're sadistic.
I love overhead squats, but I love overhead squats because I'm a firm believer that like overhead squats are probably the single greatest core strengthening exercise.
I think personally, like I hate them because I'm
Yeah.
terrible at them. But I think like if you are looking for a quick bang for your buck overall assessment on a person's mobility, fitness level, and like range of motion, an overhead squat is like the easiest way to
Yeah.
go. Like, can you do an overhead squat with a PVC pipe or an empty barbell? If not, we've got some things to work on.
And
Clear.
even with, so to that point, right? If I just want somebody to build better core strength, like a
Yeah.
top to bottom better core strength, take an empty bar and let's do some warm-ups where we're just doing like 6 to 8 reps a few times through of just nice, slow and controlled empty bar overhead squats. But my favorite, and anybody that's doing the affiliate programming will figure this out, is I am a gigantic fan of tempo back squats.
Ooh, yeah.
Like huge fan of tempo back squats. Like because and as far as the rep scheme goes, I really like that nice like let's start with 12, then we're going to go up and weight and we're going to do 10, and we're going to go up and weight again, let's do 8, and then we're going to go up and weight again and we're going to do 6, right? And the tempo is usually like 3 seconds down to the bottom. We'll take a nice little 1 second pause, maybe in the bottom of the hole, and then right back up.
Yeah, yeah.
The reason that I'm such a big fan of that, I mean, obviously that time under tension, right, is so critical and so beneficial for
I know.
everybody, and it really does help you force people to stay tight all the way through.
Yeah.
But like we were just talking about, it really changes the game for ego lifters.
Yes.
Because when you have to spend 3 seconds on the way down and spend a second in that hole, like you can't ego lift through that. Like it doesn't work. And I am that coach that will literally come over and stand next to you and watch you do a couple,
Yeah.
realize you're only doing like 1.5 seconds down, and I'll be like, hey, you're not doing 3 seconds. It's okay. I'll count for you the rest of your reps.
Oh, Rachel will tell you about me, like me being in the gym. People used to hate when I had to count for them or when I would count for them. They're just like, nope, like I'll get it. I'll figure it out. I'm like, yeah, you will. Otherwise, I will start counting for you.
Yep. And I'll literally stand there and I'm like 1001, 1002,
Yep.
1003. Now
You've
you're
seen
in the bottom.
you've seen my notes with the lifters, and they're like Mississippi,
Mississippi, right?
please count because you're cheating yourself. No, those are two good tempo squats and overhead squats. You took one of mine, so I got to sub out another one. I'll go with two as well. My
Right.
my first one is 1.5 squats.
Oh yeah. I
Love
love
one
it.
and a half squats, whether it's a front squat
So
or a back
brutal.
squat, just simply because it teaches you similar to the time under tension, right? Or the tempo. Like it
Yeah.
teaches you how to come to the bottom, come halfway up. Or my high school kids used to call them W squats. But like you come down, come halfway up, and then hit the bottom and stand up. But you
Yep.
have this motion here, you have to stay tight. Otherwise, you're going to bottom out and you're not going to make the lift. So that's my first one that I like. And then a most recent one that I've contemplated whether or not I'm going to have the weightlifters do them. I just think I'm going to get too much belly aching about it. But like my strongmen and my Highland games and my powerlifters do them, and it's Zercher squats. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been doing them before I hurt myself. I was doing them a lot because I have issues keeping my chest tall. Even like when I front squat, like I just front squatting is uncomfortable for me right now. Like my front rack position has gone to shit. I'm working on it and all that stuff. But like a Zercher squat, I like has forced me to like it's about as vertical as I've ever been. So like in order to perform it though, I have to widen my stance out and like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
holding the bar for those who don't know. Zercher is like you create like a little bit of an X with your hands, and then the bar sits in the crook of your elbow.
So
And
uncomfortable.
you have to, it's very uncomfortable. And you
Yeah.
squat or whatever. And for me, it just you can't drop your chest because the minute you do, you put all that stress in your
Yeah.
forearm.
It all
So
goes into your arms.
when you've got like 300-400 pounds on the bar, like you're gonna lose it. Like you're not strong enough to hold it in there. And so just sitting there like so, that's become my second favorite one in terms of pushing range of motion, keeping a vertical
Yeah.
torso.
That's a good
That's
one.
those,
I like the 1.5 squats though. I didn't like them the other day because they're in the basic strength program for
yeah.
mummy squats.
Yes, yes.
And so mummy squats, by the way, are great if you have poor front rack mobility and you still want to get that front squat in because both you and I
And
are dealing
the
with
thing I
that
like
right now.
about the thing I like about the mummies is it allows you to keep the weight low.
Yeah.
Like you can't like now. Granted, I have a friend. His name's Jasper. He is an insanely strong human being, and there's a video. He's got a video of him doing a 550 mummy squat, which is absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I've noticed that those stay in usually like the 70 to 80% range of your best front squat. And you really can't push them much more because like any slight movement, that bar's rolling off. And especially
Yeah.
if you're in a gym that has like metal plates or something like that, you don't want to be making all that noise. So
Yeah.
you keep them a little bit on the lower side and stuff like that. So,
And then you add in the 1.5 aspect to it, and you're gonna
oh
be
yeah.
even lower on the weight. And man, it was crushing.
Ooh,
But it
that's
was
brutal. A 1.5 mummy squat. Weightlifters might hate you. Um, I like that one a lot. All right. So let's go ahead and wrap this up, get people out of here so they can stop talking about their lower body, whatever. Anything else that we missed, John?
uh oddly enough, the strength and unity tee didn't come down yet,
Oh,
but it will come down tomorrow.
okay.
This is gonna be out,
Yeah.
unfortunately, after that comes down. So
If it's coming down tomorrow, I'll make a post about it today.
yeah. But outside of that, guys, don't forget you can jump into the Strength Agenda app and test
Yep.
it out free for an entire week.
Yep.
So go to thestrengthagenda.com
Yeah.
and sign up for a free week. Try out the programs. We know you'll like it. It's great. It's a lot of fun. And then that's it, man. That's all I got today.
Good deal. All right. Make sure appreciate you guys for signing up for the app. Appreciate you for supporting us, the positive feedback, stuff like that. Any questions, you have things you want us to talk about,
Ooh,
shoot out
yeah.
a message on social media or the business page or here. We appreciate you guys. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Bye, guys.